Hello, beautiful artists, my little wildflowers. I just love that because I love that we're kind of sassy. We're breaking the rules. We're making puddles. We're making blobs and all kinds of fun things. Today I am playing with a little toucan because I felt like it's that type of year and I wish I was on a tropical vacation and seeing and hearing the beautiful tropical birds all around me. But meanwhile, you know what? I sit in my garden out in our beautiful backyard in sunny Southern California, and I'm going to ink out a little toucan here for you. Let's see, let me find my micron pen. Yes, I want to use an 08. For the supplies, I'm just using a 140-pound cold press paper. I bought this on Amazon, and to be honest, it's 140-pound, 300, but I'm really not happy with it, so don't buy this, guys. I tried it out. I'm using it for practice and such, but I'm not going to even recommend it to you. Stick with the Artistos and your Meeden. Meeden's awesome. I will be using my Paul Rubens My Laying palette. You know I'm obsessed with the Paul Rubens palette. And I've got my little, what is this hitting here? I've got my little palette here, having so much fun with this. Look at that. Whoops. All my colors I can share with you. One of you, I hope one of you catch this and remember, had suggested the Lazy Susan, and I'm loving that. Okay, so let's get started here. I'm just going to trace him out. And this little guy kind of reminded me of like a bowling pin. I know, it sounds kind of weird. I have to draw him a little over to the side because I'm just using this 8.5 by 5.5 paper. And if I put him in the middle like I'd really like, his little beak won't fit. So I'm just going to draw, kind of sketch it out over here. So here's that bowling pin type of body. And then I'll create his little feet here. Maybe I'll paint in a little branch there he's standing on. And the bottom of his bowling ball body. And his tail in the back. For his head, I'm doing something like that. We'll make his large eye there. And then his beak, which is to me what I love the most about these toucans, which remind me of Fruit Loops. Remember that? So there we go. That's kind of what I'm going to do. There's this little eye in there, and I really want to make him colorful. So I am going to create, I haven't created a kit in a long time, so I am going to create a kit for this, and it'll have the drawing. And you guys, it's $2.50, and you'll get the download with my swatch and for colors and the drawing and the original, and a few instructions to go along with the tutorial. I really appreciate those of you who are purchasing those from me because my expenses here for the amount of paint and everything I go through is getting a bit high. So it really helps me, even those little $2.50 purchases. I'm looking for a brush to brush that off. I don't like to use my hand. I usually use like an old brush to do that. So thank you to those of you who do purchase those from me, and it's a way I can give you something and you still get something for it as well. Patreon, thank you so much for those of you that have hopped over there, and we're working really hard on that site to make it a good resource for you, but yet, you know, it's a way you can contribute to me too, because we put a lot of hours in here. Anyway, okay, let's start playing with our little toucan. I'm pretty excited. The brush I'm going to use, by the way, for the beginners, if you're using the pans, you know, they're hard, they dry. You just want to activate them with a little bit of water. Let me find my 8 brush. This is my 8 brush, but you know what? The Princeton Velvet Touch is fantastic. The Neptune would be great here because we'll be working wet and wet. I just realized I forgot my water in my sink. Let me just go grab that. So I have my water, 1 second. I got nice clean water this morning and washed out my water dish here. I use this Meeden. If you follow me, you know, I'd love it because it's really crisp and white and keeps my desk nice and clean, which I like. Okay, let's see what we can do here. I'm going to play a little bit. So I think what I'll do first, I can't wait to do his beak, but I feel like I need to focus. So I'm just wetting on his body first. So I'm just getting this damp with my 8 round brush. You can sign up for these. I think they'll be released again this summer. It's a box of 5 I curated. I created them. It was pretty fun, definitely a learning project. Okay, so I've got enough water on here. And again, I don't really care for this paper so much, so you're gonna see a lot of texture in the paper. It's a cold press, but I feel like it behaves more like a rough. Okay. So I've got that just glistening. I'm going to go in and let's just play here. I'm going to use, let me turn my Lazy Susan here, pick up some of that blue. I really want to get colorful here. So let's just start kind of, and you know what? I mean, take creative license here, guys. I'm always encouraging you to do that. You don't have to follow me. You know, use my techniques and stuff, but have some fun with this. I didn't wet his head, and I'm thinking maybe I should do that. So I'll just wet that. This paper feels really cottony and almost soft, and it really soaks up a lot. So it's kind of been an interesting paper to work with. Again, I'm not sure I quite like it. So you will see some texture in there. Then I think I want to use, let's just put in a little bit of that turkey blue because we love our turkey blue. And again, I'm going damp in damp. So we've got some color going on there. If I want to make this, you know, a little bit more wet in wet. And see, this is one of the things I'm not liking about this paper. It's kind of fibery. So I apologize if you can see that. Didn't actually mean to grab this paper to do this on. I'm going to add in some purple. And if I want to soften any of these edges, I can always take this and kind of go in and add some water and it will start blending that. So right there, I had a little bit of a line. There we go. It doesn't lift well either. You can see there, I'm trying to lift that up with a dry brush. It does okay. So sorry, whoever this brand is, but not doing it for me. I'm going to put some green in there. So I've got green here. Ooh, look at that. I don't want to really mix the green with the purple because green and purple are opposites on the color wheel. So if they mix, they will turn brown. But I'm going to put some more of that green. And actually that is the tree green here. Let me spin this around. So I've got it right here in my palette. Let me scoot this over. Scooch, scooch, scooch. So you can see my palette here. Sorry, guys. There we go. So here's my green. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? And then I'll just dab in a bit of that. If I have too much of a hard line, I can just go in with some water. And again, I'm trying to kind of keep separate the purple and the green because I don't want that icky mix. And then down here, I'll wet that area. And let's see, let's put some blue in there. So I'll pick up some of that turkey blue and kind of tap that in. There we go. I'm going to try and lift some of that out. It's not doing bad lifting actually, but I don't know. Okay, so I will wet this now. And just making it shine. I'm not adding so much water. There's no puddles here. Just damp. And then I think I'm going to go in there with my yellow. I put some yellow in my palette. You can also, you know, go into this and put that in there. This is going to be one colorful toucan, you guys. There we go. How's that? Isn't he pretty? Maybe a little orangey color near his eye, because I will put orange in his beak. So something like that. I might even, let's play with a little bit of our Payne's Gray. Tap, tap, tap. Maybe up in here. Eesh. This paper. I'm seeing all these little pieces of the paper come off. There we go. That kind of blended it in a bit, so it's not such a harsh contrast. I think I'll add even a little blue here and there. Maybe some of that green. Yeah, that kind of helps it blend so it doesn't look so contrasting. There we go. Isn't he pretty already? Let's put a tiny bit of our purple down here too. Just grabbing some, tapping off my brush. There we go. How pretty is that? Okay. Maybe pick up a little bit of that. Let's do his tail, his long tail feathers here. So again, I'm wetting this. There we go. Are you like me? Do you think about, you know, when I see these birds, I feel like I'm in Florida or Hawaii or something fun like that, right? And for his tail feathers, I'm going to go, let's mix a bit of our Payne's Gray with some of our turkey blue because I want them to be a bit darker. And I'm just using the tip of my brush like that. Maybe let's add in a tiny bit of our purple. There we go. Isn't that pretty? And how about let's add some of our favorite, our blue. There we go. Just using light pressure. And I always hold my brush down by pretty close to the ferrule. The farther away you get, it'll be looser and you will be able to achieve maybe a looser look. But I'm kind of liking that. I almost feel like it should have a little bit of green in it, but I'm a little bit nervous because I don't want green and the purple again. If I mix that, it's going to turn muddy. So I don't know, maybe something like that. If I can keep it separate, then it'll probably be okay. Ooh, let's play with this. Again, I don't know how this paper's going to do with this, but let's just take, you can take a credit card or I've got a little stipple here. Ooh, yeah, look at that. And when you mark in to the wet paint, it kind of creates those little lines because it creates an indentation and the paint kind of goes into it. I think in here actually would be really pretty with some salt too. But all right, let's play with his beak. So I've got my orange. Let me spin my thing around here. Hopefully you can see that orange. And by the way, a couple of you asked, in this palette, which I actually love, but it's strictly a palette for staying on my studio desk because it's quite large. But look at the wonderful mixing space I get. So I went through and bought the Meeden tubes, not Meeden, sorry, Paul Rubens tubes, my laying, and I just filled these up with these paints. Excuse me. But you can, you know, just do it like this too. That's totally fine. I know a couple of you asked me, like, where am I getting that paint from? There we go. Okay. So I'm going to go in and drop some of that. You know what? Let's get him wet first. The beak wet. So I've got this Neptune, which is crazy soft, and that's fine because I'm just adding water. There we go. Actually, I'll do the whole thing. And let's add some yellow just to kind of start it off. I swear, sorry guys, I will get used to having this big old bad boy here. And I'm just going to kind of dab in and let it spread. Okay, now I can go back to my brush, wash, rinse that one. And I've got the orange on it. Look at that, isn't that fun? And I can kind of tap in there. I'm really making this up as I go, but there's tons of reference photos. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? This is such a pretty bird, you guys. Maybe we'll use, my goodness, I am definitely going to have to get used to using this big palette. Let's get some red and some orange. Ooh, yeah. And once I tap in, I'm kind of leaving it because as it sits here, it will keep blending. So I'm just going to leave that there and let it blend and wait for it to dry. And then around here, I think I'll actually use a black because I'll use a little black in his eye too. Let's see, for his eye, let's do a bright green. So here I go. I'm going slow so I don't hit something. Okay. I'm going to use, let's see what green that is. Nah, I think that's a hooker's green. I want a bright green. Ooh, yeah, there we go. How about this emerald green? Ooh, look at that. That's fun. Let's see what that looks like when it's lighter. Let's see. Let me grab a swatch sheet here so I can kind of, I think that's the one I want. Let's see which one that was. Yeah. I think that's the emerald green. That's what I'm looking for. Did you see my doodles, by the way? I'm a doodler guy. Are you guys doodlers? I love the doodles. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and let's wet his eye first. I think this, that's a little wet. Maybe I should shoot that with my heat gun here. 1 second. I noticed this paper dried really slow too. It was just an interesting paper, and I think for beginners it might be kind of hard. So I don't want to recommend it for you. I'm looking for a little bit of red to put kind of at the bottom here. Ooh, yeah, I like how that's kind of spreading out. So I just added a little bit of red here so it could spread out. Okay. Back to the eye. I wanted to do that before that dried too much. So I'm going to wet the eye here. Tap in that green. I'm actually going to tap in a little bit of that lemon green too, because I kind of like that. There we go. See, it's still, this paper takes forever to dry. It's the weirdest paper, you guys. I don't think I'll use it in our tutorials anymore because it's just funky weird. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to let that dry. Let's work on, see how this paper does with dry brush. I'm just going to work that a bit. So let me go into my dark brown, which I've got a bit here. I want it to be kind of a drier mixture. So definitely like cream, which means about 80% pigment, 20% water. And then I'm going to take my brush on its side. Yeah, I knew this paper was going to really pick up that dry brush well because it's so textury. And then let me go into the bottom here and create kind of a shadow. So I think I'm going to use a little bit of blue for a shadow. That's the Prussian blue there. Yeah, I kind of like that since we're doing color. I think that's kind of pretty. So tapping into that Prussian blue, tap, tap, tap. Don't want a ton of water. There we go. And we could even use that stipple again or a credit card to get even more texture. And let's see, what should we do with his feet? Let's make his little claws kind of orangey colors. So here I go, spinning around my... Give me a month with this. I'm going to get so much better, guys. And it's kind of... This was exactly what I wanted. Notice I'm leaving some white space in there. I'm just light pressure using the tip of my brush. So I've got those cute little orange feet. I think what I'll do is add a little bit of yellow because they're a little darker than I wanted. I could always pick up too. So I would just rinse my brush off, tap it off, and pick some of that up like that. You can do it that way too. But look how cute they are, his little toesies. And let's add in just a touch of brown to those toes. Let's see, let me get my brown here. Maybe some little claws at the end. To be honest, I've never really looked at a toucan up close, so not even quite sure about that. Okay. If that little eye is dry, which I kind of have a feeling it isn't, this isn't even dry yet. Let's hit it with the heat gun. These are so handy. I can tell it's drying a bit because the color lightens up, which is what I wanted. Okay, I'm going to go in first, and to bring some of this purple that's in his body up in here, I'm going to make that little line purple. So let's spin around again and go into that deep purple, maybe even that one. I feel like I almost want to mix it with some Prussian blue too. Let's do that. So yeah, there we go. Still going to have that purpley feel. And I'm just going to go in here. And that is a dark value. So that is probably 80% pigment, 20% water there, which is what I wanted. And then I'm going to color in paint in the center of his eye. And I think I will grab, I've got a tiny brush coming out in my subscription box. This is a 2 round, and that's perfect for right in there. So I'm going to use this, going slow here so I don't cling and clang. Let's grab some more of that orange. Pretty dark again. And go in and just create an orange line around his eye. Isn't that fun? I love it. Maybe a little bit more red here at the bottom of his beak. And then I was thinking maybe we should do a little purple stripe and a little bit of black, because I think if I remember right, the toucans have like a blacker stripe. I'm going to use my Payne's Gray. I don't typically use black because I like it to be a little bit more interesting. So I'm just going to go in and apply that to the tip. Now, this is a bit wet. I should dry it a bit. Hold on, so we don't get a huge spread. There we go. I think that's good. Okay, so I'm just going to paint the tip of his beak with some black. So a little bit right there. And then a little here. There we go. Kind of cool. Oh, I was going to use that tiny brush. I don't usually use a tiny brush, but I made this for my subscription box, like I was saying, and then I got kind of addicted to it. I don't typically use that because I am not a detail person, but I've actually kind of had fun with it. Let's see, what else could we do here? I know. Let's get really crazy, guys. Let me find my white gouache, if I can find it here. Here we go. Zinc white. Let's do a little white on his eyeball and right here. If you don't have gouache, don't worry about it. You don't have to add this on. So I'm just going to grab some of that right out of the tube. By the way, little tip, I don't put gouache in my tray because it tends to harden, I think, my opinion, a little bit more than the regular watercolor. So I just use it as I need it. And I'm going to do a swoosh like that. Ooh, see? Just something like that can add so much. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Like, you don't have to do some great big thing to make, you know, the viewer's going to see that and say, oh, that is, actually, I'm going to use, because this is zinc white. I love my whiter white. Let's try a Posca pen. If you don't have any of these, guys, don't stress. No big deal. Where is my Posca pen? I like the Posca pen because it really is quite opaque and covers. So I'm just going to do the tiniest dot here. Oops, I got a drip here too. Let's get that. Yeah, so I put a little white dot there. And there we go. I mean, I think I'm pretty much done. I think it's pretty cool, you guys. So I will share this with you. I'll share the, I wish I had my other white so I could show you, by the way. Let me check one more time. Oh, I do. This is the white I really like. It's actually also a white. This is titanium white. This is Winsor Newton zinc. And I feel like the titanium is much brighter, and I like it a lot better. Just, you know, over the years, I've not become a fan of Winsor Newton. Sorry, Winsor Newton. And they don't pay any attention to new artists. And that always is kind of a bummer. Okay, so I'm going to try this again. Just a little bit of dry brush there. I think this white really covers and is better. Just my opinion. And there we go. Wash that out really good. And anytime I use my brushes with gouache, unless it's a specific brush that I'm just using for gouache, I always use that brush cleaner. I don't have it sitting right here, the Masters brush cleaner. I love that stuff, and it's just an easy way. So I'll do that when I hang it. Okay, so there we go. I hope you like this little toucan. I will make a kit for you. And thank you for those of you, again, that buy that. It really means a lot. It's only a couple dollars, but, you know, if 10 of you buy that, that's $20. And that will help me buy a tube of paint or something. So thank you. And I'm having a lot of fun here with you guys. So thanks for being here. I did design Patreon so that we could share our photos because I was so bummed I couldn't see what you guys were doing. Oh, if you're wondering what I'm doing right here, I was going to go in and maybe add some texture there for some feathers. And you guys asked me, do you have a Patreon account? So we've been having a lot of fun over there, and you can post your pictures. So I'm just going to dry brush here. Oh yeah, you guys, look at that. If you wanted to add a little texture to look like maybe some wings, feathers, you could definitely do that. Just hold your brush sideways. So it's basically skimming over the top, and you'll get that dry brush effect. All right, that's it. I'll link everything below. Make sure my brush is nice and clean. And I hope you have fun with this. And you know what? Add your little maybe banana palm leaves and things in the background. But most of all, have fun. And I will see you all soon. Thanks for being here, everybody. I really appreciate you. And I'll be here reminding you, you are an artist. Happy painting.